Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. On this episode, we're going to talk about the most common things, chemicals, foods that are in your house that are actually poisonous for your fluffy little feline family member. Stay tuned. All right, thanks for joining me. The first thing that I see that's common in my household and people don't realize is quite poisonous. In fact, the tiniest little drop, couple of drops to your cat, it can actually lead to death, is acetaminophen or Tylenol. People don't realize that even baby Tylenol, and sometimes this actually gets recommended, unfortunately, by pharmacists that people go and call and ask about their cat, and they say, hey, you could maybe help with the fever by giving Tylenol. I love you guys pharmacists, you guys are amazing, but I do see this occasionally, and acetaminophen, Tylenol is deathly poisonous to cats. So what it ends up doing is it damages the red blood cells and causes a condition called methemoglobinemia, or methemoglobin, which is kind of like a protein from the red blood cell. But often the first sign of Tylenol toxicity in cats is death. It can only take sometimes a few hours. It's really, really tragic. So other things you might get is you might actually get a almost chocolate milk colored urine. Their gums and their tongue may look that color. I've actually drawn blood on cats not knowing why they're sick, and it literally looks like chocolate milk when it comes out into the syringe. So Tylenol, the tiniest few drops, I've said this over and over again, a few drops of baby Tylenol will kill your cat. Do not give it to them if something happens and they somehow get into it, because sometimes it's flavored and it tastes sweet and syrupy, and cats love sweet things. You must call your veterinarian right away. A couple of hours will make a difference between your cat living or dying. So Tylenol, get it away from your cats. Super serious, super toxic. All right, the next thing we see are just sort of common foods that cats like to eat, that we like to eat, that we have in all of our households, that are poisonous for cats. Cats are not fluffy little people. They have very, very different metabolic systems, very, very different digestive systems. So things like onions and garlic can damage the red blood cells, much like in dogs. Chocolate obviously is also toxic to cats, and because it's sweet, cats will eat chocolate. It actually causes like seizures and high heart rate, and their temperature goes up, and it will become fatal if not treated properly. There's things like xylitol. Xylitol is a common sweetener, like a sugar substitute used in a lot of candies and treats, especially if there's someone diabetic in the family. A lot of those diabetes safe foods have xylitol, therefore they're not cat safe. They will actually trick the cat's body into thinking they've taken in a lot of sugar. It causes an insulin spike. Their sugars will drop sort of severely fast and low, and can result in coma and even death. So all these things are super, super dangerous. Keep them away and recognize that cats are not little people. Just stick with cat food. Cat food and cat treats. Don't give them any of our food, and don't let them sort of have access to it. Okay, then the other common thing I see are cats that eat houseplants. Chrysanthemums, poinsettias, lilies, aloe. There's tons, but those are the most common ones and often the most fatal. They'll get into the leaves. The roots are really, really dangerous if they start chewing up the roots, or the seeds, if you're actually planting them themselves, super dangerous. They can cause vomiting, liver failure, swelling, all kinds of pain, all kinds of abnormalities. So unfortunately, if you have a cat-friendly household, because you got some cats, you got to kind of keep these plants away. I would actually prefer you don't even have these plants in your household. Talk about plants. The last one, little MJ, right? Little marijuana. That is a problem with cats as well. So whether it's in a little magic brownie or the leaves are around, depending upon where you are watching this, may be legal. Marijuana is very, very dangerous for cats. They will get a lot more than the munchies if they eat some of your marijuana, or the neighbor's marijuana. I'm sure it was the neighbor's marijuana. It was somebody else's. But please keep these things away. And if you notice that they have been chewed or your cat's seeming sick, do not wait for them to possibly recover. Every minute makes a difference. Get to your veterinarian and be honest with them. If your cat has gotten into your drugs, we're not cops. We're not going to call the SPCA on you. We just want your animal to be better. You're going to save money, save time, and most importantly, help us save the lives of your cats if they've gotten into some of your recreational drugs. So just be honest and tell your cat to say no to drugs. That would be best. All right, with wintertime coming around, depending on what time of year you're watching this, antifreeze. Antifreeze is a big, big problem. So anyone in the North States or here in Canada, we use antifreeze all the time to prevent our engines from freezing up, right? Antifreeze is super sweet, and cats love sweet things. So even if you have a little bit of it dripping out of your car onto the floor of your garage, your cat may lick it up. Now this antifreeze, specific antifreezes or normal antifreeze is ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol damages the kidneys, damages the liver. You'll actually get swelling of the face, of the paws. Unfortunately, it can cause death within a couple of days. It can actually shut down the kidneys entirely. So the best thing to do is actually to replace that antifreeze with a pet-friendly antifreeze, which is propylene glycol. So propylene glycol works just as well. It's a couple of bucks more expensive. It is sweet. Your cat is going to lick it up, but it's not dangerous at all. So ethylene glycol, antifreeze, very dangerous for cats, dangerous for children as well. So keep it sort of out of reach, or better yet, get something that's not toxic. And of course, if you see it happening, call your veterinarian. There is a treatment for antifreeze poisoning in cats, and if we get to it really, really quickly, the prognosis is very, very good. So another problem, insecticides and rodenticides. No one likes bugs going around their house. No one likes mice and rats in their home. But unfortunately, a lot of the things we use to kill the insects or to kill these other vermin are dangerous for cats and dogs. If the cat chews on the insecticide, the little sort of Raid ant bait packages, it will actually treat the cat like it does an insect. It'll destroy some of these neurotransmitters in their brain, and it causes these neurological abnormalities where they're twitchy and they can have seizures, and they'll salivate, and their tears will start to come. They'll what's called lacrimate. There's actually an acronym that we remember in vet school, SLUD, SLUD, salivate, lacrimate, urinate, they'll pee a lot, and defecate, they'll poop all over the place. We'll also notice that their heart rate gets dangerously low, and it's super serious, super dangerous, and of course we do have a treatment for it, but we got to get to it quickly. Now rodenticides, so the things like the warfarins and the coumarins, basically these rat and mouse baits, they cause mice and rats to bleed internally. They thin the blood. And it's not the best way to get rid of your vermin problem. You know, look into some much more humane ways of getting rid of rats and mice. It'll not only save these rats and mice, but it'll also protect your cat, because your cat will eat these mice. And then when it eats these mice, it's taking in the toxin, and your cat can bleed to death internally from this. I kid you not. They will bleed on their gums. They will have like this dark kind of red wine colored urine. They'll even bleed in their eyes. They'll bruise all over the place. The treatment is really, really difficult because it takes so long to get the body back into being able to form normal blood clots. So very dangerous and not very nice for the mice and rats. And you know, I always say be kind to animals, and it even includes the vermin or the pests in your house. So try and find a different way to get rid of these animals and protect your cat at the same time. Now the last thing, and it's kind of ironic in a horrible way, is flea treatments for cats and also flea treatments for dogs, especially for dogs, are poisonous for cats. So as I said before, cats are not little fluffy people. They're also not versions of dogs. They're a completely different species. And a lot of the shampoos and powders and mousses and collars for dogs, and even some of the collars for cats, contain these insecticides for the fleas called permethrins. There'll be different names, permethrins, pyrethrins. You'll be able to recognize it. But when in doubt, just talk to your veterinarian. There's things that are so much more safer. But if you're treating your dog with, say, a collar, and your cat is grooming your dog, which happens a lot, or people make the mistake that they go, oh, I'll just buy the small dog collar for my cat, it's a whole lot cheaper, you'll actually cause neurological problems, seizures, twitching, tremors. The eyes start to shake back and forth. They'll drool, they'll vomit, and it can kill them. So stay away. I actually recommend people just stay away from the over-the-counter flea products. Even the ones that are designed for cats and are safe for cats have such a narrow safety range that if your cat's weight is different than you anticipated, or your cat chews on the collar or grooms itself a lot, it will take in a large amount of this insecticide and it ends up being toxic to the cat. So just talk to your veterinarian about all these things, and definitely talk to your veterinarian about flea prevention for cats. There are things that are much, much safer. So I hope this was useful. I pray that you never have to deal with this, but definitely go through your house and figure out what is safe and what isn't safe for your cats, and maybe just get rid of the stuff that isn't safe. There are other options for you. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to comment, send me things that I can, questions that I can answer. Follow me on Instagram, email me at this YouTube email address, and last but not least, always be kind to animals. Thanks.